I was pretty closed off when I went.
You were what?
I just wasn't like open-minded. So I started
Okay.
walking and people watching, and I was like, "Where am I?"
Yes, that's
That's
very
Vegas.
that's very common. So it's definitely a interesting place. That's probably the
Yeah.
best word
The only other
for it.
time I hear about it is other, coworkers or anybody's like, "Oh, I've been there for work," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to do Vegas for work. I'd rather keep the two separate." Yeah.
Yeah, the show I was at yesterday in the afternoon, they're like, "You're the only one walking around with that color badge." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, the rest of them, it's all the vendors walking around, not attendees." And I was like, "Well, where are the attendees?" They're like, "It's the third day in Vegas. I don't think a lot of them
Yeah,
are up yet."
nobody's left.
So anyway, we got to get going because we're
Sure.
live. And hey, welcome everyone to SimplyThick John and Friends. Um, this is the show where I talk about dysphagia with trying not to sound real sciency and scary, and try to break it down to the easy part for everyone who's interested in Iddsi and dysphagia and things like that. Um, I'm your host, John Holohan, the founder of SimplyThick, and I am a thickener enthusiast, which is kind of a weird title, but so true. So true. So this show is really for anyone who's cared for someone with swallowing challenges and just wanted things to be simpler, safer, and a little more dignified. So whether you're a clinician, a chef, a caregiver, or just a curious problem solver, welcome. You're in the right place. And, for those of you that are watching live, please don't, let us know where you're watching from in the comments on LinkedIn. It's kind of interesting to see where everybody's from. So today is all about, let's take a beginner's perspective on Iddsi. So like, I first heard about Iddsi more than 10 years ago. Well, I guess it was about 10 years ago. And so I've been in the thick of it, so to speak. I've been in the deep of it, in the details for a whole decade. And one of the things I know is that you forget how much you already know or how much you just assume in your everyday spot. So I wanted to bring on somebody who's relatively new to Iddsi. And so I brought in Kayla Pew, who's she's just joined SimplyThick in the last couple months, but she's been around healthcare and is an RD and things like that. So it brings in that unique experience where somebody who's worked in the business, somebody who's been around the business, somebody who's trained, coming at it and learning about Iddsi with all the right credentials and things, but having to jump in the deep end. So that's why I'm excited to bring Kayla, because she brings that newcomer's perspective and can help me remember a little bit what are the things and the challenges that people are going through when they're learning that. So Kayla, why don't you just take a minute? I could read a formal thing about who you
Up
are
to
and
you.
stuff, but go ahead and tell the people a few things about
Sure.
yourself so that they know that you're an RD and
Who I am.
interesting.
No problem. Well, thanks for having me. I'm
Yes.
looking forward to this because I love speaking live and in front of people. It is my second favorite thing to do. But my name is Kayla Pew. I'm a registered dietitian and I reside in the state of Michigan. You will hear some Canadian accent come out because I'm originally from Canada, so we can talk about that later. But I've been a dietitian now for 13 years, all different types of facilities, hospitals, acute care, fitness. So I've seen it all, I feel like, and now I'm on a different side. Now I'm on a sales side. When I'm not busy working, I'm a mom to two little guys, and I stay very busy with them. And that is what I do for fun. Like we just were talking about, is I'm a mom for fun.
And what's that on your finger?
Oh, which hand? Oh, this
Yeah.
little thing. This little
Yeah, that
thing.
little thing.
Recently engaged.
Yeah.
Very exciting. So yeah, getting married in the beginning of February. Taking the kids down a nice little destination place and just gonna do the thing together. Yeah, very
That's very
exciting.
exciting. Very
Yeah,
exciting.
lots of change all at once. Yeah.
Okay, so like I promised, as we jump into
Okay.
the thick of this, y- I know you've known about Itsy and you've been around Itsy because you've been around and you were at the shows and things like that. But you're new to Itsy and you're learning. So what questions have you had that you think anyone new to Itsy is going to have, or
Yeah.
what are the questions you've been asking that other people might be
About
afraid to
health.
ask?
Yeah. So for me to learn, I was lucky enough, I was able to train with different coworkers and that, and they all have 20 plus years experience. And to watch them work and how they're already experts on Iddsi, my confidence goes way down. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to get really good at this really fast. So I started asking them what I felt was dumb questions, but if I don't ask the questions, I'm never going to know the answer, right? So I call them dumb questions. They're not dumb questions. So when it was my turn to go visit different facilities and see what they're doing, I think they were intimidated. I think they were nervous about what I was about to talk to them about for Iddsi. So the first thing I do is I put my guard down and I say, I'm learning with you. I'm absolutely learning with you. This is a journey. So I learned to ask them questions, simple questions, or they would ask me the simple questions. And I did my best to answer them. I didn't know the questions to everything, but one of the questions that most commonly I get, or I like to start with, is how does Iddsi line up with NDD? Like, what's the best simple answer? Maybe, is it okay to ask you the question?
Me?
Yeah. Can I?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So I'm looking for that simple answer to give facilities when they do ask me that.
It lines up. There's big technical differences, but I mean, generally it lines up pretty well. I mean, so like minced and moist, I don't even remember what NDD called that. It's 4 millimeters versus like 5 or 6 millimeters. I mean, it's close to what minced was, right? And puree is puree, but under Iddsi, they have testing standards of how it's supposed to behave. There isn't any of that in NDD. So with NDD, you could have things that were a lot thinner that would count as puree, because it was more about how they sheared it down and getting the particles small. But with Iddsi, it's more about, does it hold some structure? It doesn't flow. That's why in the old days, when they would plop it on a plate, it would just flow out. And you get like the divided plate, with the 3 sections, and they would each they'd have no height, but they would be full because it all flowed out. With Iddsi, you don't see that, and you have more ability to structure it. The liquids, nectar is basically mildly thick, moderately thick is honey, pudding is extremely thick, and then slightly thick is new. So it lines up pretty well. There's a few more levels. There's little differences, like NDD just says bite-sized, but they don't define it, whereas Iddsi defines it. And how did they define it? So that it's small enough that it won't fully occlude the airway. So if you inhale a soft and bite-sized piece of food, which is only 15 millimeters apart or wide, thumbnail, that's why I'm showing my thumbnail, 15 millimeters, it is not big enough to fully occlude the average adult human airway, because the airway is like 18 to 20 millimeters. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be comfortable. It's going to be very uncomfortable, and you're going to have to really work hard to breathe, but you're not going to suffocate, asphyxiate. So,
which is, that's my next question, or I get asked, is why Iddsi? Like, why does it matter? And to me, it's a no-brainer because I know the answer, right? But portraying that and helping them to understand it, the safety of it, it's consistent, and the patient impact, that's all that should matter. So when we do get a little resistance, we do get a little pushback when people are stuck in their ways and don't want to learn anything new or bring anything new into the kitchen. When I bring that to the forefront, the patient safety, the ears start to open, or they start to say, okay, Kayla, tell me what you got. So that's usually the next question I get is, or I simply say, we care about our patient safety, right? Plain and simple. I sugarcoat it a little bit. I don't get too graphic or anything like that. But and then so the next simple question I'll ask is what type of language would you like us to use? And obviously we can find those posted on the charts and the new resources. But where can we find these resources, John? Where can we get these?
You always have to go to Iddsi.org. And please, before you start creating something from scratch, please go to Iddsi.org. There are so many handouts. There's so many things that you can adapt. And even if you're just like, well, I'd like to have something in Spanish, or maybe you happen to live in just a particular part of like uh, a city in Miami's what's popping into my head because they have a large Haitian community. You never know what resources have already been translated.
Mm-hmm.
You may not have to do this yourself. Um, and so, because the website is global and there's all that stuff, so you can go look there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have these things called what are they? Iddsi reference groups, IRGs, and they've like localized some of the stuff too. Like I know on the USIRG, they're working on some patient handouts that are in American English, and they're trying to like there's just terms that are different, like crisps. Do you know what a crisp is? It's a potato chip. But when you hand somebody something that says crisps, they
They don't
sure
get
it's
it.
global in nature, but we're trying to not personalize it, but localize it is probably the
Right.
best term. So there
Right.
are great resources that are out there. Go there first, and if
Mm-hmm.
you don't see something, you can always send an email to like the USIRG, and if
Nice.
we have a resource, we're happy to share it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the beauty of a not-for-profit community like Iddsi,
Yeah.
is everybody's working, we're all rowing in the same direction.
Same one. Right. And that's where I turned to. I turned to the website back in July, and I started reading. Um, Unfortunately, I'm the type of person, and I learned this later in life, but I don't comprehend well when someone talks to me, or actually when I read something. I'm a hands-on learner. I have to put my hands on it. Even if you're over my shoulder and you're trying to show me something on the computer, I have to be the one using the keyboard and the mouse. So with these facilities have the resources posted. They have things to share. They have the basic, like, what is Iddsi, why does it matter, and then the next is just who leads this, like who in the facility is there a leader, or I get asked, like, who needs to know, so when I do show up, who Kayla, who do you want to be there, who do you want to show up? And I always say whoever has the 20-25 minutes that can be there to watch. RNs, SLPs, RDs, CDMs, and the dietary team, whoever's available. And would you
Let's
agree?
let,
Yeah.
I just want to emphasize this
Yeah.
a little bit. You are highlighting what is well known in adult education spheres, is that 70% of what we learn is hands-on, and like 20%, and you know th- I don't know if these are just made up numbers or if there's good
Numbers.
studies to back it up, but it's a very common model to find when you search the internet. And 20% comes from like talking to your peers, and then only 10% comes from that formal education piece. And I can tell you, as somebody I've literally made more than 1,000 videos of me making solutions or making food or whatever
Yeah.
for Iddsi. But every time I try something new, I'm always nervous. Like, how's this going to work? How's it going to
Hmm.
go? Because I need to do it,
Yeah.
just like you.
Yeah.
And you know, I can look at some of the great, beautiful things that the chefs are making, but you put a piping bag in my hands, and I'm like, God, what am I
How do
doing?
I do this? Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I was doing. I was watching, our friends do their thing and do their demos and teach. And, Kayla, do you want to do one? I'm like, absolutely not. No. Even when you asked me to do this talk today, I said, no, let me bump you back a few weeks. Let me study first.
Let you study.
I'm glad I had so much time to prepare for this. And then I'll be ready. And you're never really ready for, like, a change, or you're never really ready to, I don't know how to explain that, for lack of better words, but
You
you have
can't
to take the leap.
anticipate. You can't anticipate everything.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
want to. We want to know all the answers, but you are going to get in the middle of it, and you're going to have to just kind of ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's okay. I think maybe the older I get, or the everyday teaching my kids, like, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask questions. I would never do that 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I was always in the back, like, got it. I think actually on one of my first calls, somebody had a big call, and I was so excited. And one of my partners here with work was like, okay, make sure you focus on MM5. And I said, got it. And I spent 6 hours trying to figure out what MM5 meant. This was about 2.5 months ago. And then you know what? I finally the next day called him back. I said, I just got to ask you a question before I make this big call. And he started laughing at me. And I said, you know what, Kayla, drop the ego. You know, it's okay to not know. I don't have to know these things yet. But ask the question. Just ask, right? It's minced in noise, level 5. In case you didn't know.
And you know where that comes from, really? It comes from the coding that Iddsi. One of the things Iddsi did is they went to some of the big medical coding companies and the abbreviations in hospital software to make sure that the abbreviations they were going to use, they have to be 3 characters and they have to be unique, and to make sure that you're not mixing them up with anything else. So all of the ones they use are cleared that way, but then we fall into lingo. We're like MM5 and PU4 and
I was going to say, are there more that I don't know about?
SB6? Yeah.
Now I got it.
It's there. It's just, we'll fall into the lingo, and so soft and bite size, SB6 or whatever.
In my mind.
Yep.
But yeah.
And it's until you do it. And we always have the extra fun because a lot of times we're doing it for either the camera or we're up in front of a group. And we do a live webinar on occasion where it's live food prep. And I remember the person I used to work with, Lori, when we would do it, like she'd come in and she'd be like, well, John, what happens if it doesn't work? And I'm like, that's perfect. Nobody expects it to work every time. If you do it and it looks perfect every time, people get suspicious. If we mix it up and it's like a little too sticky or it's a little too runny, I mean, that just shows that this is a process. It's not really, we want recipes to be specific, but what's going to change every day, right? They might not have sent you the chicken that you wrote the recipe for. Or if you're like a consulting dietitian, like I had on a couple of weeks ago, a menu writer, you might be up in the Rocky Mountains or you might be down at Miami Beach, and things cook a little differently. Or the cook might have gotten distracted and they may have left the chicken in a couple extra minutes. And so we have to be able to adjust to the realities that the ingredients are going to change, the food's going to behave a little differently, suppliers will change, things like that. And so we expect things to go wrong, but it's the brilliance of the people in the kitchen to adjust to all that and get something that still works and meets the specifications.
Exactly. Good. Yeah. And allowing grace, like it's okay. I say that a lot of times too, like give yourself some grace. Like it's new, and you don't need to be an expert with 20 plus years. But in 20 years, I expect you to be an expert. So,
Well, see, but then the problem becomes the opposite end where you're like me. You're like, well, everybody knows this. Like,
yes, I think you probably are assuming people know, which isn't a bad thing, but that's why I was excited to talk to you. I'm like, let me bring this back some notches. Let me bring it back to 101. And that's what I am facing. I'm definitely facing facilities that know a little bit what I'm talking about, have no idea what I'm talking about, or they ask me, say, hey, can you help us? And I can't wait to feel helpful. I can't wait to be that person that they help lean on and help implement it. Because like I said to you the other day, Iddsi is not a complicated process. It may be a little complicated implementing it. And that's just because of the team and all the other things that come into play. But the process itself is not complicated. If I can do it, I can do it.
So that's what I like to tell people. If I can do it.
If I can do it.
You reminded me of one of the things we've talked about before is in this world of, I don't know, just overwhelming information and things. And I remember when I first started my career, like people would call, and I was working for a thickener company, and they'd say, well, how do I make a, fill in the blank salad dressing or whatever? We just go back to the file and we pull out some pieces of paper and we'd send them to them, and we'd expect them to like read it, consume it, figure out what to do with it, and then move on in their stuff. And in today's world, much more trying to teach people how to do stuff. And just because I did a video once, even if it was last month, let
Mm-hmm.
alone 5 years ago, it may or may not be entirely relevant.
Right.
And so, like, one of the things I'm doing when I produce content and stuff is I can't tell you how many unboxing videos I've done of
Yeah.
how to open up a box of SimplyThick and put in a pump in a sterile manner.
Right.
And the reason I do that, and the reason why I don't get like frustrated with it, is because I don't know who's new to this.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I gave a presentation last month, and there's, I don't know, 30 people in the room, and I said, so how many are familiar with Iddsi? They all raised their hands and said, okay, so you guys kind of know what's going on, but I'm still going to just review the basics. And then this was hands on. So they had to do like a flow test. And I could tell watching the people in the room that even though they all raised their hand,
Yeah. Start
very
testing.
few of them had done any testing or really knew with any depth.
Yeah.
And there's a little social pressure, right, in a room like that, where when I say, oh, how many of you are familiar with Iddsi? They don't want to be the only one with their hand down.
Right.
So just taking them through that and
Mm-hmm.
having them, um, and remembering that, like, don't get frustrated. This
Mm-hmm.
may be the first time somebody has seen that video,
Same.
but it
Yeah.
also might be the fifth time and they finally get the
Yeah.
message through.
It does take
Um,
time. Yeah.
why, I keep making videos showing how to thicken water, all 4 levels. I've done that, dozens of times making
Yeah.
videos. But why do I do that? Because it might be the first time somebody sees it.
Yeah.
And I don't work on scripts. So I'm just talking. And so I might say it a little bit differently this time and it might
Yeah.
get through to somebody.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, and you know how this world is. Not only dietitians and dietary managers, their turnover can be pretty high. And you might just be catching if you post a video, for example, every 30 days or whatever it may be. I guarantee you new eyes every single time. And that's what I do with my social media as well. I'm trying to just make sure not only new people, but maybe, and then you do take it up every now and then, right? You do take it to the next level for those people who are confident in thickening water. You take it to the next level. Um, I think there's a beauty with all your videos floating around. I refer to them all the time. I listen to them on my drive sometimes because just hearing the lingo, and I can hear you teach it different ways, which is good for me when I'm in those facilities and trying to teach, or I get asked questions and I know how to better answer them. Um, I know it's cheesy, but I listen to them. It's embarrassing. That's how I learn. I have to. It's a repetitive thing for me. Not only hands on, but and then practicing, hearing it over and over. It doesn't get through the first time for me.
I,
Why are you laughing?
just a picture of you like driving down the highway listening to Simply Like John talk about how to thicken water.
I do. I
It's
listen to
just,
it on the way to like conferences and stuff. I'm still new.
no, that see, but this is exactly why I wanted to have you
Yeah.
on, because you're bringing that newcomer's perspective
Not yeah. Not everybody's gonna make fun of me.
and helping people understand that,
Yeah.
this is the process you go through.
Yeah.
I, okay, so we wrote a cookbook, right?
Mhm.
And so now, like, oh, I'm a cookbook author or whatever. But I remember when I got the first sets of recipes and I was trying to make sense of them, because I didn't do the work developing the recipes
Yourself.
and the
Yeah.
processes. I was helping bring together all the pieces and
Right.
then rewriting them into a consumer friendly way. And they were all full of that MM5 PU4 testing method stuff and lingo. And even me, I was sitting there just trying to like pull it apart and
Put it
trying to
all.
remember who I was writing this for and how to rewrite it so it would be simple that they could
Mhm.
understand it. And but that was a few years ago. So now I can do it without really thinking about it. But to remember those days when it was more difficult,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
I'm
important.
excited to not be the new person. It is. It's an uncomfortable change is scary, right? It's uncomfortable, and honestly, when things get uncomfortable, I think maybe just as humans, like that's when we want to throw in the towel, or we want to sit back and hide, or just blend in. Um, I think maybe just the older I get, when you lean in and you embrace the change, and you can actually watch the transformation happening. Especially with Iddsi, it's all for the best. It is all for the best, and I know I don't need to preach to you about it being for the best. But change can be scary. Yeah.
So are there any other resources that you found really helpful over the last few months, other than the Iddsi website, your coworkers, and
Um,
social media videos?
that's pretty much what I've been leaning on, like LinkedIn, and then I know your TikTok as well. I only have TikTok for your videos. Don't get me wrong. I, um, no, that's pretty much it. I just, that's what I use for resources. The coworkers have been phenomenal. I can call anybody anytime and they'll answer my question, which is beautiful. Um, and then I've been putting together like some small, I call them their basic steps, but like how can these facilities, how can they implement it? How can Kayla, where do I start? Like what is the very first thing we can do after getting those questions answered, and having a better understanding, not only like what Iddsi is, but the why, like remembering that why we're doing it. I say start.
Yeah.
Try one drink, one beverage, try one plate off of that whole tray line. Test it. Test it. Grab the syringe, grab the fork, grab the spoon. And they're like, that's it? I'm like, yep. Do that once a day with a few team members watching you. And then start asking questions. What is this texture? You know, how would you classify this?
And Andy Cullum pointed out in the chat that the Iddsi app is also an excellent resource.
Oh, okay,
And
thanks.
I forget to mention that one too, but
I'll write
that
that
is
one down
excellent
too.
as well. Yes, it's available on Apple and Android.
Oh,
You'll have the
nice.
entire Iddsi thing, the testing, the detailed definitions, and videos on your phone. And when you download the data, you don't even need, once you've downloaded the data once, it lives on your phone. So then you can watch the video regardless of whether that you can get internet service down in the kitchen of that facility,
Yeah.
because it's already on your phone.
I'm, I'm,
So
I'm starting to look at the comments and some very nice people. I shouldn't have looked. Thanks, guys, for watching today. But yeah, so I wanted to make sure that was my, talking to you the other day. I wanted to bring some value. I didn't want to just, I can talk all day long, but I was hoping to bring some value to not only new dietitians in a role like myself, but new to potentially implementing Iddsi here in the next few months or the next year, whatever it may be. Different states have different regulations we talked about. But yeah, just those basic, easy steps. The next silly thing I do, I call it silly, but before I leave a facility, I take some tape and I post the Iddsi chart up, up by the dietary office or do whatever. Because I know they say they're going to do it, but I'm like, you know what? Let me help you. Let me help you do this. Let me take some of that off your plate and do this. So posting those charts and getting those lingo, nursing stations, nursing areas, different facilities obviously do different things in that. So yeah, just visually. So not only are they practicing with their hands, and then they're visually seeing the different, the colors and numbers. And that's all. That's it. That's a matter of starting. Don't overhaul. I think people think when we say, oh, you have to start Iddsi tomorrow, I think they need to write a whole new menu and overhaul everything. I'm like, please don't.
I think generally the number I hear when I ask people is 75 to 80% of what you're already doing is going to be just fine.
Right. Yeah. I think I read that from one of your videos.
Well, but
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't make it up. It's talking
Yeah.
to people who've gone through the process of
Done it.
implementation and just asking them. And that's sometimes people don't realize that one of the benefits of vendors is we're talking to a lot of people in a lot of states across the country and even across the world who are doing this. And so we can bring some of that diversity of perspective and learning from other places.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that can be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to shift gears a little bit
Yeah.
for a moment, because you have done a really good job building up your own LinkedIn audience. And I thought maybe we'd just talk for a minute about how you did that, why you did it, and how you've seen it transform,
How it's worked, kind of thing.
how it's worked for you, or what
Yeah.
benefits you've seen from that.
Yeah. It's fun. You're not the first person to ask me too. So I wish honestly I had a nice, clear answer, because I don't really know the answer that well. But I believe it was just over 2 years ago. I started with a couple hundred connections. And again, I don't remember what my numbers are now, but I think you guys let me know that I had a nice following, a nice amount of connections in that.
You have twice as many as me. How's that?
Well, you're
You
going
have,
to get there.
you
You're
have
going
about
to
4,000. I have about 2,000 followers.
Everyone who adds you will not add me. But it's been, I would share work things, and try and where from not just like, okay, we have this product or we have this, but here's how I see this working, or here's how this appointment went today, and here's what I learned, just in case there's, like we said earlier, there's some eyes that might have seen it for the very first time. And information is always important, but people can get information from Google or look anything up anytime. What I found is what I'm good at is building connections. When people find out who I am and learn to trust me, they will now invite me for that appointment. They will say, Kayla, yeah, you know what? Come teach my team this, because I know who you are. And I think by sharing a little bit, not just like I'm an open book, I can share too much. But I think just letting people know who I am. So getting a little personal with my LinkedIn, letting them know some of my struggles. Social media obviously is a highlight reel. We see all the good stuff, and I'm not going to post me crying by any means, but just people getting to know where I'm at and who I am. I think that's what worked for me, because it started to really build, and then I started getting recognized at conferences, and I get messages daily asking about my journey, and I'm like, my journey, eh? Like, so, but I love being that. I was gonna say role model, but I don't know if that's too much. I love being that person. I'm a helper. I love helping, and if people think that I can help them, I'm like, wow, like I need to learn how to help myself first, but I would love to help you. But just being myself, like I think we talked months ago too. This is it. This is me. I don't have nothing to hide. Dropping the ego. I know we joked about like fake confidence or lack of confidence. People think I'm so confident, and I'm like, oh no, not at all. It's pretend. But people know that about me, and I think I'm relatable.
And you found that it's helped you professionally?
Yeah, yeah. Not only do I know, let's say when I'm going into a new facility, or I'm visiting somebody for the first time and they already know a little bit about me, or they'll ask something about, oh, I seen you got engaged, or oh, I see that you're a mom too, and that warmth, that little bit of a relationship breaks the ice, and then we're good to go. We can do our work. we can um, we can go from there. I don't know. Did I answer your question? Does that help at all?
Well,
It's
I
kind of,
wanted to just take a minute and highlight it
so 5 minutes
for
is good.
everybody,
Yeah.
because 3 years ago I was just, 3-4 years ago I'd go to trade shows and I'd stand across the aisle from our booth and I'd watch the sales team just doing their thing, and nobody cared about me. And I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, and he was saying every business, every person could benefit from doing social media. And I literally picked TikTok because I knew it wouldn't mess up any of our SimplyThick channels.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to do videos for 3 months and I'm going to prove this guy wrong, because there's no way
Yeah.
posting on social media will make any difference to dysphagia, thickening beverages, anything like that.
Mhm.
And I was completely wrong. I mean, within 90 days, one of the videos took off, and then I was like,
Is
oh
all
no,
it
I'm going to have to
takes.
keep doing this. And then, I mean, I'm not kidding. I went to FinCEN in Denver
Mhm.
and I did my usual thing. I rolled in noon, I got up in the morning and I flew to Denver, and then I took the train down, come rolling in early afternoon. They're like, John, where have you been? Oh my God, people are looking for you. I'm like, people are looking for me? What are you talking about? And, a professor had even given his students like, hey, you get extra credit if you can get a picture with SimplyThick John.
Perfect.
Blew my mind.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
Gary V, I'd say about a year and a half ago, he was talking about how LinkedIn was where people need to be posting now.
Mhm.
And so I just want people who are watching this to realize it's about this posting and just opening yourself up a little bit, that if you make a little bit of commitment to it, it can make a big difference.
Mhm.
And I know most people aren't going to do it, but I just thought because there's the two of us who have kind of that similar thing where we just kind
Yeah,
of made a little
totally.
commitment to it,
Yeah.
and we've seen the benefits, and it's not, oh, John's that much better. It's that, wow, the knowledge that I've had just sitting here in my head, now I'm able to give it out and I'm able
Sharing.
to help
Mhm.
out more people. That's
That
really
made
the
more people
benefit to
seeing
me.
it. Right, right. Yeah, no, that and I wonder that's how I came across you was seeing your social media start to blow up and that. And I'll just say it because I know we're live and that's fun. I know who you were, but I didn't know like who you were. Like but I'm so glad because again, just human to human, people to people, I just treated you. I said, "Hey, John, do you want
Yeah,
to? Can I meet you for 10 minutes?" And you're
yeah,
like, "Sure." And I was like, "Look at this guy wants to meet me. Cool." And even seeing you in person, we just chit chatted and talked, and I think we had both talked about social media right then and there too. And it's funny what an impact it's had. That was a year and a half ago. That was a long time ago. Um, to seeing where we are now together.
yeah,
It paid
yeah.
off.
There's a like the local small business thing even has, they want me to come on and talk about personal brand building.
I just
So
saw
I'm going to
that.
be on a panel later this month talking about that.
You mean here, you can take some of my tips about the fake content. No. No, I think it's been I think it's wonderful for what we're doing and sharing you're just everything's changing, right? We're getting older and the social media is people every now and then people are like, oh, social media is going away. I said it's not going anywhere anytime. So we need to embrace change and we need to take it on. And we don't need to dance. We don't need to do TikTok dance.
and 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 you don't have to put on airs. You can just
Right.
talk about what's really going on in your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And my son worked at a Boy Scout camp this summer, and he got back to school, and they said, "Oh, you need to have LinkedIn." I said, "Well, here's what you do. You tell a story about what you were doing, and then you end it with just a little life lesson or whatever."
Correct.
He was
Hmm.
teaching, I don't know, 30, 40 Boy Scouts a day how to use tools and trail build. Doesn't seem like much, except, you got through the summer without anybody getting injured.
Hmm.
There's got to be some
That's a
lessons
big
in
thing.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you adjust? How did you handle near misses? These are things that people can benefit from. And
Hmm.
then when employers look at you, they'll look at it and see, oh, here's somebody who's got some good stories and he's got some good perspective on it.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You just start telling
Exactly.
those stories.
Yeah. I'm excited to keep storytelling
Yes.
here. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
All right. So I'll probably have you back in like a year so we can see how you've grown
My
and
improvement.
become the
Yay.
master.
Yeah. Right. No,
But
I was
yeah,
nervous, right? But there's
yes.
nothing to be nervous about. It's
There's nothing to be nervous about. These are just fun conversations.
yeah.
That's all.
No, yeah, not only that, I think honestly, I think I was nervous to let people know what level I was at or like how much I knew and didn't know. Um, but then at the same time, I'm like, Kayla, that's the whole point. That's the whole point is letting people know not to be intimidated by me by any means. And then B, like they're just like me. They're absolutely just like me. And it's okay. It's okay.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to get you before you'd been here too long.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I still
You're
want to
like,
get you where you were fresh and
yeah.
learning.
I kept trying to bump you back, and you're like, "No, I don't want you to know too much yet."
So everyone, I want to say a big thanks to Kayla for coming on, even though she's not an expert yet, and sharing her insights and stuff. Obviously, you can find Kayla on LinkedIn. Do you have any other social media stuff, or
No, no.
just LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, thanks everyone for watching. If this was helpful, recommend it to other people, share it. And, Kayla and I are both always available for comments or questions through LinkedIn or email or whatever. The
Yeah.
SimplyThick way is first name dot last name at simplythick.com. So that's how you can find us.
Thanks, guys.
So thanks a lot. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having me. Take care. Yeah.